What's up, Knucklehead Nation? I'm Tavia Tenpow. Across the screen from me, next to me on the screen, is Precious McKinley. We're here to talk about her upcoming fight in the Lion's Den happening September 21st and a bunch of other things in between. So I want to promote the fight first. It's happening September 21st in Pompano Beach, Florida, live from the Arian Event Center. This is the third time George has done a show at this venue. It's a great venue. It's got a huge space, a big bar. It's always a good time. So go ahead and head to FightersRep.com and grab your tickets. Unless you know one of the fighters personally, then grab a ticket from them for sure. That always helps. It's always good to see who's selling, and it helps the fighters out to grab tickets. So first and foremost, thanks for jumping on with me, Precious. How
Yeah,
are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for my fight. Just in the middle of fight camp, going strong, and I'm excited to share and talk about it and how I'm preparing for it.
Awesome. Awesome. So I want to talk about your recent move. You're actually from California. That's
Yeah.
how you fighters rep in George. And you recently moved to Florida. What part of Florida did you move to?
So we are in the Tampa Bay area, more south of Tampa, so technically in Apollo Beach. And we got a house, and I'm stoked that we're here. We could not get a house in Huntington Beach. It's just so overpriced. Like for a 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, you're looking at 1.4, 1.5 million. And it's just, I wanted to have my husband and I wanted to have our own space and give a backyard to our dogs, which was very important. And it's beautiful out here. Still getting used to the humidity. You step outside the door and it smacks you in the face. You can't run outside during the day. I have to run after work at night. And so I'm just adjusting to the weather and to the people. And people do not know how to drive out here respectfully.
No, I totally agree.
But yeah, I love it though. In general, I am very happy here.
Good. That's awesome to hear. I'm a native Floridian, born and raised, so there's not many of us, but it's nice to hear that someone's enjoying South Florida. I know it can be a bit crazy. I agree. On the driving end, like I hate driving here, and I'm on the East Coast. I'm in West
Mhm.
Palm, so I don't enjoy it. I always feel like I'm gonna get in an accident every time I leave because people
Yeah.
just make up their own rules.
Yeah, I mean, I work in the ER, and so a lot of patients we get in are car accidents upon our car accidents, and it's it's it rains every day almost. About so we're in season, and people just forget how to drive.
Yeah, and I think the speed limits are really high here too. I hear
Mhm.
that from a lot of people in other states. They're like, yeah, your speed limits are pretty high, like on all roads. So it
Right.
just people wanting to speed more. So, well, welcome to South Florida, West Coast of Florida. That is a great area. Tampa Bay is beautiful, and I think it's really popular right now too. It's definitely a hot spot to move to with like all the sports going on over there, the business that's been coming in. So,
Mhm.
that's cool to see that you're enjoying it. How long have you guys been here?
So we moved here at the end of March, so about 5 months now. Haven't done too much exploring, just been training. My first priority moving out here is where am I going to train? Where am I going to? I wanted to continue training and continue fighting, and so my priority was to find a gym, and I
Yeah.
was luckily able to find one at Kaizen. It's such a great environment. Coach Vince, former world kickboxer, just being able to absorb his teaching, and he knows how to instruct such a big class where you could get so much out of it. And so I'm just blessed and thankful to have found that gym, and they've been nothing but love and support for me in my career.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love hearing stories like that. Yeah, Kaizen is a great gym. I'm familiar. I think Asa did a seminar there. I want to say it was around like COVID time because we had like who wasn't fighting. So they
Mhm.
invited him to do a seminar and we went over there and it was a beautiful place. I love the look, the feel inside and yeah, those are friends of ours over at Kaizen. So great choice, great spot. And happy that you're enjoying Florida. So that's great. So let's talk a little bit about your background. I know you're Filipino descent.
Yeah.
Got that from your fight shorts and, just, checking out your Instagram. I saw a really interesting video though. You do Kali, which is that Filipino knife fighting?
It's stick fighting, actually. So growing up, my dad has a martial arts studio, which specializes in the Filipino martial arts. And growing up, I was able to travel and compete worldwide. So in 2009 and 2012, I went to the Philippines and competed against girls from Italy, Australia, the Philippines, New Zealand. And it's such a great experience. Not too many people know about it. So it's, it's not as big as a bragging right compared to, oh, I'm a world champion in kickboxing or jujitsu. It's a little on the low, but it's definitely close to my heart. Definitely grew up with that fighter mentality, being around training all the time. And I actually have my plaques behind me, and that's where I got my nickname Pistol, is from an Eskrima tournament. And being small and compact, and just being able to hear a pop from the sticks. Another instructor came up to me. He's like, "Dang, I didn't know what was going on. You sound like Little Pistol, so small and compact, but so loud with your strikes." So I kind of just stuck with that the nickname throughout my fighting career.
Yeah, that's really cool. I peeped that. I had a guy at our gym, and he told me he knew Kali, and I was interested in learning some like knife fighting. I don't know why I like knife fighting. I think it's a really cool technique to learn. Not that we knife fight a lot, but he kind of showed me some footwork and some movement, and he told me he trained Kali in the Philippines. So I heard a little bit about it, but I've actually never seen a tournament or competition. So I'll have to look that up because that's really interesting, and I might hit you up for some lessons because I enjoyed it. I did a lot. It was really fun, and he moved away, but he was like so willing to help me learn, and it was really cool. It's a different approach, than just kickboxing and Muay Thai. There was so much movement, and we had to switch hands right and left, and that threw
Mm-hmm.
me for a loop because in Muay Thai I'm like trained to be orthodox and try not
Right.
to too much. So is that where you get a lot of your technique from, the Kali background, or do you have any other martial?
100%. So both Kali and Taekwondo is my background. Being able to switch stances in Kali, I do fight with my right foot forward. You fight with a stronger hand in front. So that's why I'm used to going both orthodox and southpaw. On top of wearing the gear, in Kali, you have a big 2-pound headgear. It's like a fencing headgear, a vest. You're wearing hockey gloves and elbow pads. And these sticks still hurt. You'll get welts and bruises after a sparring session, but it's so much fun. It's an indescribable feeling for
Yeah,
sure.
and it's
And
very cultural. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it's a whole new curriculum too. There's so much behind it, and you could apply that to knife fighting as well. The disarms, the striking, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and very culturally enriching too, since it's the Filipino style of fighting. So I love that. And your dad got you into it. Did he compete as well when he was younger?
He mainly instructed. He did compete in Taekwondo and in the Eskrima tournaments when he was younger, but he was known as the head instructor for the USA team back in 2012. He was mainly growing teams, developing talent in the Eskrima community.
Nice. That's awesome. So you have a rich background in martial arts. You're not, a newbie to competition. And what made you decide to kind of get into Muay Thai kickboxing? Like what prompted you to take that transition from, kind of mat style tournament to I want to get in the ring and do full contact?
So growing up, being surrounded with primarily Taekwondo and Eskrima, I didn't know kickboxing was a thing. I knew of boxing. My dad's gym was right next to Robert Garcia's boxing gym in Oxnard, California. So I knew boxing was a thing, but I didn't find out about kickboxing Muay Thai until, I want to say, after COVID. I'd say closer to 2021, where I was in nursing school. I would say around 2020, 2021. And I just wanted to take up a martial art again. I stopped competing and doing Taekwondo back before high school. And so I wanted to just get some boxing lessons in, let out some stress, hit something while I'm in nursing school. And that's when I found my coach, Johnny Mercurio, at Huntington Beach Fight Club in Huntington Beach. And he's like, you can kick and punch and compete doing it. I'm like, what? What? So he introduced me to Muay Thai, and I just started once a week, just doing private sessions while I was in nursing school, and I loved it. I loved it. It felt good to kick again. It felt good to hit something, be on the mitts, and it was a great stress relief. You know, I kept my head on my shoulders during nursing school, and it wasn't until after nursing school where I'm like, okay, I wanna fight. And
Yeah.
I've had nothing but support from my husband and my team, so that's where it all started. It all started last year.
Wow, that's amazing. Someone with so much experience, and like you find out about this full contact sport later in life, and then you just go for it. That's awesome. It's good to hear that.
Yeah,
Um, so
been
your first
nonstop
was
since.
when?
My first fight,
Mhm.
I believe I took on like a PKB in
Of last year.
June last year. And that's when I started training every day. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take on this PKB like a month before. And I had
Yeah.
the first seminar with Jackie Bunton. And
Hmm.
just watching her fight, she inspired me so much to take that step from just training to getting in the ring and
Yeah.
mentally preparing for that and physically preparing for that and just getting my feet wet. She convinced me like just do a PPB, get your feet wet, see how it goes.
Yeah.
And ever since I've been like getting that itch to compete since then, I'm always looking for a fight after that. Um, but it's so much fun. I love it. I love the sport for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. I was gonna say Jackie's a great mentor to have. Do you still stay in touch with her? Does she
Yeah,
watch your?
I have her on Instagram. I did a couple of training sessions with her when I was back in California. I worked with their amateur team for my last FightersRep. I was able to get some sparring sessions with their girls, and Coach Pokro, he knows, he's very knowledgeable. To be able to absorb from him, to be able to be surrounded by Janet Todd and Jackie Bunton and those elite strikers, the best in the world, and I know Jackie Bunton's taking up a kickboxing fight here shortly, but just to be able to be in front of her and even in a sparring, even though it's light, but just be able to absorb what they're thinking. They're just so masterful at it.
Yeah. Yeah. They have a lot of knowledge to give down, and even just watching pro fighters how they carry themselves in the gym. I think it's really important. At our gym we have a lot of pros and a lot of high level amateurs, and
Mhm.
just to see the difference, I think that really helps the amateurs sort of like figure out, okay, I come in, I get right on the mat, I just start my training, go through it, handle myself properly, take a break, come back. So it's good for them to see that. That's a great example that you had back in Cali, and I'm sure you miss them. I'm sure you miss them, but
Right, yeah.
you guys can continue to stay in touch and cross train, and that'd be great, to stay linked up with Jackie, because she's on a roll. She's on a
Oh,
roll.
yeah,
It's been nice to
definitely.
see her and Janet's career. I know Janet retired, but to see
Mhm.
American women, Filipino American, Asian American women on a big professional stage, like killing it too, keeping up with the Smilas of the world and the Alicias. It's like that's awesome. I mean, that's just like goosebumps, because it's like you never thought you would see women on that platform and on
Mhm.
Amazon Prime, but those two definitely repping for both their Asian countries but their American country as well. So very cool to have
So
that.
inspiring.
Do you have any other like female fighters you like to watch? Like anybody right now?
So with my style, I'm trying to figure out the whole kickboxing. I'm trying to find my style. And with my footwork, I'm usually bouncing on my feet. And then you put me in a boxing bout, I feel like I'm pretty good on my hands, but it's like trying to find the combination of both. And I think I've been watching a lot of Tiffany Van Soest. I think my fight style or would try to like I don't know her just the way she moves, the way she sets up her kicks. It's beautiful, and she's not afraid to throw those backside kicks in her fights. And I throw backside kicks in my fights, so I watch a lot of her videos. I look at her footwork, and I really like her fight style.
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because that's exactly who I thought of when you said I'm trying to find my style. I was like, oh, Tiffany, because Tiffany likes to do the shoulder
Mhm.
too, and she likes to switch her feet a lot. She's got excellent timing. I mean, out of all the male and female fights I've seen live, I've seen her fight live. I thought her timing was impeccable, and she's so fierce, and she's so competitive, and it's cool to see, her career flourish. And I watched her fight in Chicago, I believe, when she fought Anissa the second time and got her belt back. And I didn't doubt Tiffany, but Anissa is so dominant. And
Mhm.
but Tiffany that night, like, she was locked in. she totally trusted herself and she just went out there and did her thing and got her belt back. So that was a really cool thing. And I agree. I think your style and Tiffany's style would definitely mesh well. I've noticed that. I've watched your fights, the ones I could find online, and I was like, you it's weird because you have this boxing stance with your shoulder roll, but
Mm-hmm.
you throw side kicks and you switch stance. So I was so interested to hear like where all of that came from. Because the side kicks I immediately identified with Taekwondo. But
Mm-hmm.
then see where you hold your hand, I'm like, well, that's a boxing Philly shell right there. And
Yeah.
then I was like, but she's also like doing this foot stance. So you've got Kali, Taekwondo, Western style boxing, and now you're like incorporating Muay Thai kickboxing. How do you
Yeah.
like, what are you doing to try and funnel that all into one kind of Precious style for yourself?
It's tough because I watch back my fights religiously, and it's like one fight's so different compared to my second fight. My second fight's so different compared to my third. And what I can take away with it is just finding my flow in the fight. So once I get a flow, once I get my timing down, I just let it flow, like whatever comes naturally. If my kicks are coming, I let them flow. I'm not going to change anything. If that's scoring, that's scoring. With my hands, I've been working a lot on my hands, working on my boxing, a lot of boxing defense, because in Taekwondo, you're not getting punched in the face. So that's all new to me. So being able to throw and get hit in the face back and not being able to flinch and adjusting to those punches to the face is what I've been preparing for this fight. Being able to throw combinations with my kicks, not just throwing kicks or just setting up my kicks with punches is something I've also been working on as well. So there's so much to focus on. Just choosing one thing at a time and mastering that. And okay, what's next? What else can I work on? Watch back film, watch my sparring sessions, and go from there. And consult with my coach. He's obviously watching, and so he's had some great advice for me this camp.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I know I was I think that makes you really dangerous though, having those different types of styles. Coming from training under Asa, my husband, he's a hybrid style fighter. He's got kung
Mhm.
fu, boxing, sanshao under his belt. So we never trained like one specific style. It was like kind of learning a little bit from everything. And so there's purists out there who think that's not traditional Muay Thai or not traditional kickboxing, but I've always admired a hybrid style. I think you're so adaptable in a fight. I think it makes you extremely dangerous because you can return and react from different types of levels and switch stances that most people aren't used to seeing. You
Mhm.
know, if anything, sometimes you don't funnel it properly, and like sometimes you just don't do enough in the fight. But I think you've combated that because I watched your two fights, and I agree with you. I think in your first fight, so different from that second fight on Fighters Rep, and we'll just talk about that now. Your first fight against it was Jordan Saltzman,
Mhm.
and that was Muay Thai, right?
Right. So the
Yeah,
whole
so that
clinch
one,
game was new to me. The whole I was so excited to use elbows, but
yeah,
unfortunately they right 2 minutes before we were walking out, we're like, okay, they don't want to be elbows anymore. I'm like, okay, so I was expecting elbows, but the whole clinching was still new to me. Definitely gotten a lot better at that. But I think in general, I've grown from that fight, and you could see that in the fighters rep. I found in fighters rep, I was able to find my timing, keep my distance, and I made her play my game for sure.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I watched both fights and I refreshed myself today watching them, and I totally agree. Your first fight, you can kind of tell there was an adrenaline dump, and
Mhm.
she was trying to clinch a lot. But
Mhm.
I think you came back in that third round so strong, and you dug really deep to just pull out that win, because I think she may have outpointed you a little bit in the first round, but
Mhm.
that third round totally won you the fight. And you threw a spinning back kick, and I think she just like
Yeah.
dropped to the ground. So that must have boosted your confidence. What were you feeling? If you can think back to that very first fight of yours, like how did that feel going into that third round, knowing like, okay, I got to still dig deep here. I got to prove that taking it home on the scorecards. Like what was going through your head during those moments?
All I can remember is to breathe, make sure I feel my feet, I feel the canvas, and focus on my breathing, focus on keeping my hands up, and just letting my legs do their thing. I kind of just threw that backside kick. I timed her coming in with my front leg and just threw it. you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to throw those kicks, especially in sparring. And I like to throw a lot of back spinning kicks and have fun and experiment. But I've just been working on actually setting them up and making them look clean. Was the
Yeah.
biggest thing. But
Yeah.
I've
Land
learned a lot from that first fight for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and then in your second fight happening in the Lions, then your debut on Fighters Rep against Rebecca Montez, you
Mhm.
looked so composed in there. You looked just like a completely different fighter. Like I was like, oh, this girl's got, 5, 6 fights under her belt for sure. And
Mhm.
that was the first fight I actually watched of yours before I've watched your debut fight. And I was like, wow, she's really like very composed, very with it. I saw your boxing, head movement, and your shoulder stance, and then your footwork. How did you feel in that fight compared to the first one?
So this fight, I was expecting a lot of high pressure from Rebecca. I was expecting a lot of for her to come forward. And once the bell rang, that first round, I ran to the middle of the ring, and she didn't throw anything. So I'm like, okay, now I'm like, I'm gonna play my distance game, and I just remembered, my Coach Johnny at the time, he was just saying, focus on getting in and out. Don't sit there and brawl. Don't sit there and exchange. Go in there and get your shots, score, move. I think the biggest thing for that fight was just to not stay in one spot. And I think a lot of amateur girls like to just brawl, just throw hands left, right, and just swing. I wanted to make sure in this fight that I made it look clean and technical and stay composed and really set a good tempo and stay at that tempo throughout the whole fight instead of gassing myself out the first minute and then or gassing myself out and then just looking sloppy.
Yeah. I was going to ask, what did you do for your cardio compared for the first fight to the next fight?
A lot of miles, a lot of miles running, sprints, a lot of explosive weightlifting, sprinting for sure, getting on the jump rope, and just being consistent with it and beating, my mile times for sure. Heavy bag work helped a lot. A
Yeah.
lot of good workouts.
Yeah. So you hear that, everybody? Get to the get to the street. You need to run. I tell my fighters that all the time. Like, if
Yeah.
you guys are not running every day, like I don't know why you think you're gonna be able to last through these rounds. Like running, sprinting, like all of that
Mhm.
road work cardio is the first thing that they're gonna ask you, especially if you go to Thailand. Like, all right, get your miles in. That's your warm
It's
up.
so tough out here too because it's hot.
I
It's
know.
hot.
You either have to go at like 5 a.m. or
Right.
like 9 p.m., so
Mhm.
it's tough right now, but it will cool off. It'll cool off probably like January, but
Mhm. Yeah,
hang
it
in there because
works out because I get off of work at 3 a.m.
oh
and
yeah,
I change and just get it done. I don't want
yeah,
to do it after a 12-hour shift. I'm like, the last thing I want to do is run 3 miles. But I do it because, you have to. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the work, and I like fighting because it's truthful. You won't be able to demonstrate or perform how you want if you're not putting in the work to do that. So no shortcuts this fight camp for sure.
I love to hear it. Yeah, it just proves to your resilience. I think people underestimate that. Most
Mhm.
amateurs and pros have full-time jobs and they don't get to train 24/7. Like this isn't boxing. We don't make, 50 million a year off fighting. You have to figure out how to get a great camp in as well as like keep up with your daily routine. So it obviously speaks to your resilience, and I'm expecting a great fight for you coming September 21st. So yeah, let's talk about that one. The big one coming up. The reason that we're here, you're
Mhm.
going to be making your Florida Lions Den debut. You
Yes.
fought in Cali. You worked with George in the promotion before. So, did he reach out to you and offer you a fight? Like he knew you moved over, or how'd that all come about?
No, I messaged him actually. I'm like, hey, let's do it. Where do I sign up?
Yeah.
Because I knew when I was still in California, I knew that George was moving to Florida and having promotions there, and I thought, I'm like, that'd be cool to go out there and fly out there one day to fight. And I ended up moving out here, and it kind of all worked out. I'm like, perfect. It may or may not have been a part of the decision making on where we got a house. Don't tell my husband that. But I knew that Florida has a lot of kickboxing game, a lot of promotions out here. So I'm just stoked to fight for FightersRep because I know George and the whole promotion, they really take care of their fighters. And I'm happy to be a part of that experience again, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. George puts on a great show, and he loves to give you guys the platform to, promote yourselves and just, yeah, this is your stage. He does a really great job. I enjoy working with him as well. Do you have a preference though over Muay Thai kickboxing? I know you've done both at this point. Do you like either?
Right. I like kickboxing. Primarily, it allows me to flow better, clinch in Muay Thai. Though it's new to me. Though I feel like it does slow down my game a little bit. But not afraid to throw elbows. I do like elbows for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I peeped that you were on Siam fights too, so maybe we'll see you on a Muay Thai fight as well. But yeah. So September 21st, you're taking on Maya Barbosa Paniagua. I gotta get this right because I'm calling the card. So I know she's told me like 3 times, but it's a tongue twister. Have you looked up any of her recent bouts? I know she's young in the sport. She doesn't have a ton of fights either, but I think she did fight earlier this year. I believe it was Rise of a Warrior. Were you able to watch that fight, and what do you think of her style?
I'm just expecting her to be scrappy, go out there, and she's gonna give it her all. In the end, it doesn't really matter. In the ring, it's me versus me. So I'm looking to beat myself in the ring, if that makes sense. Be the best version that I can be. And if I just focus on that, it doesn't really matter who's on the other side. They just have to endure what I'm about to throw at them, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that speaks to your, IQ as a fighter. You've obviously been around martial arts, sounds like your entire life. And even though you don't have a ton of in-ring experience, you do have competitive experience. You've been training a long time. Even if it's not Muay Thai kickboxing for 20 years, you've still been in a gym, on the mats, sparring, doing competition. So I can tell your competitive edge is there. I'm really excited to watch your fight. I was talking to her last week, and I think she has a power advantage over you where you have a speed advantage. You're definitely fast. You've got this fast twitch about you that I like. I like your stance switch. I think you have really good eyesight. But I saw in her last fight, she threw a lot of heavy hands in there and she had a lot of power behind her punches. So do you have like any sort of, you know, nervousness about that? Are you just gonna go in there and see how it feels and kind of react off of her? Like, you don't have to tell me your game plan, obviously, but
Right. Of course, you have that nervous, like adrenaline kind of feeling going into a fight. But with preparation, if I prepare properly and do all the things I need to be, there's no really true reason for me to be nervous. I already know how it's gonna be. I know the process. I know the day before how it's gonna play out. Weigh in, and so I'm very familiar with the whole fight and what's going to happen. I just need to go there and do my thing and not worry about what she's doing. Just focus on me and just prepare.
yeah, yeah. I'm excited, guys. This is Precious Pistol McKinley. She's making her South Florida Fighters Rep debut on September 21st. Again, guys, do not miss it. If you're just jumping in right now, we've been talking now about Precious's background in Kali and the Taekwondo. I labeled you up and coming because I think I see it in your fight style. I'm like, you're exciting to watch. I know you're in a lower weight class. The female weight class, 115 to 125, is like usually the more active one, but 110 pounds, I think you're going to kill it. I think you're going to be definitely a rising star in the sport, especially if you continue to stay active. So I'm excited to see your debut on September 21st. If you have not already gotten your tickets, please do so. FightersRep.com. Head over there now. Pick your seat. You do not want to miss this one. Georgia's stacking the card. I took a peek at the call sheet and it's looking good. So I'm excited. And before we go here, Precious, do you have any last words for Maya before you guys face off at weigh-ins?
Just prepare because I'm preparing. I'm coming. So I'm going to go in there, have a good time, and just do my thing.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see this fight. I'm calling it. This is going to be fight of the night. I know you girls are going to throw down. Thank you, Precious, for hopping on with me today. We'll stay
Thanks
in
for
touch.
having me.
See you September 21st.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.